Hello everyone, welcome back to online lecture series on engineering thermodynamics. Today we are beginning our new chapter, that is refrigeration cycles. Before starting our new chapter, we will quickly revisit our previous topic. So previously we studied about dual cycle, in which there is some form of combination of Otto cycle and diesel cycle. The features we are taken here are that the heat addition process is divided into two parts. First is at constant volume, which behaves like an Otto cycle, and second is constant pressure heat addition that behaves like a diesel cycle. That's why it is called as dual cycle. And these are its PV and TS diagrams. Here in derivation, here this is the basic way we derive the efficiency in form of temperature differences, and then we have defined these ratios, that is compression ratio, cutoff ratio and expansion ratio, as well as the pressure ratio. So while deriving all processes, in all four processes we have taken the temperatures in form of T4 only, with different ratios together. So finally we are getting the dual efficiency in this way. Okay, so this is the final formula for dual efficiency. The next theory was comparison of Otto, diesel and dual cycle. So our first comparison is such that the compression ratio remains same, that is, if you see carefully, process 1 to 2 is common for all three cycles here, and heat rejection Q2 is also same here. So the remaining things changes. So here 1, 2, 6, 5, 1 is Otto cycle, that is 1, 2, 6, 5 and 1 is Otto cycle. Then 1, 2, 7, 5, 1 is diesel cycle, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 is dual cycle. Now our efficiency is given by 1 minus Q2 by Q1. Here we have kept Q2 as constant. So higher the value of Q1, higher the value of Q1, higher will be the efficiency. So to see for which cycle Q1 is highest, we need to focus on TS diagram. In TS diagram, the area under green curve indicates Q1 for Otto, the area under yellow curve indicates Q1 for dual, and area under this curve, that is here, it indicates the process 227 indicates the diesel heat addition. So in this the highest heat addition is in Otto cycle, and it is then it comes the dual cycle, and then it comes the diesel cycle. So we can say that Otto is having highest efficiency, then the dual one, and then diesel one, for same compression ratio and heat rejection. Similarly, the second comparison here is for same maximum pressure and temperature, that is, this is the maximum pressure which is common for three cycles, and here maximum temperature, that is over here T4. So here also, if you see carefully, if we focus on TS diagram, then the maximum heat addition is for diesel cycle, and lesser than that will be dual cycle, and after that minimum is for Otto cycle. So efficiency of diesel cycle is maximum in this case, and then it comes the dual cycle, and then minimum is for Otto cycle. So here this comparison is of greater significance because the diesel cycle would definitely have a higher compression ratio than the Otto cycle. Then our next theory was of Brayton cycle. So Brayton cycle is used in aircraft, automotive and industrial gas turbine applications. And we are having three components here: compressor, combustion chamber and turbine. If you see here, the turbine and compressor are joined with a common shaft, so that the turbine itself is running this compressor, so we don't require any extra work input from outside. So here only three processes are there and the cycle is not completed, that's why this is called as open cycle. And compression and expansion are essentially isentropic, and combustion is isobaric process. Then this is the example of a closed cycle in which combustion chamber is replaced with a heat exchanger, so that we get the complete cycle over here. And the cycle is very similar to our previous cycle, and only one process which is added is isobaric heat addition. And this is PV and TS diagram for the same. So Brayton cycle consists of two reversible isobars, that is heat addition and heat rejection, and two reversible adiabatics, that is expansion and compression. And here this is the derivation for efficiency of Brayton cycle, and this is the way we are obtaining efficiency, which is function of pressure ratio only, that is eta is equal to 1 minus 1 upon Rp raised to gamma minus 1 upon gamma. So that was the end of gas power cycles. Now we are going to begin our new chapter. Our new chapter is for today is refrigeration cycles. Now this all thermodynamic cycle concept which we have been studying since last more than last 2 weeks. Here we have initially studied vapor power cycle, then we have studied gas power cycle, and the next one for today is refrigeration cycle. Now if we revisit our previous chapters, that what we were having is Carnot cycle, then we studied about Rankine cycle, and then modifications in Rankine cycle with reheat and regeneration and combination of it, that is reheat regeneration. So what was the concept behind vapor power cycle was that we are having here we are having a phase change that is happening in the working fluid, that is from liquid to vapor and vapor to liquid again during the cycle, and most importantly here we are getting work output, and these are all working in natural way. Now what is the meaning of natural way, that I will explain you later on. Here all the cycles are having one common objective, is that they are producing some work output, and these power cycles are used in electricity generation, that is vapor power cycle. Second concept that we studied was gas power cycle, in which we are not having that kind of phase change present over here, and we are for simplicity we are assuming here that the working fluid is air. That's why these are also called as air standard cycles. And the Otto cycle is used for the petrol engines, in which also our sole objective is to obtain the work output that will help us to drive the vehicles. Here in diesel cycle also, our objective is to obtain the network output to run vehicles. The next theory was dual cycle, and then we studied about Brayton cycle, which is used in aircraft engines. Here also we are getting work output which helps us to propel the aircrafts. Now our next chapter, that is refrigeration cycles, is slightly different kind of cycles than the previous two. Now let's begin that what is the difference in refrigeration cycle. Our first concept is simple vapor compression cycle. So this is the 5 basic components of simple vapor compression cycle. The flow diagram is shown in the figure, and there are total 5 components. First is evaporator, second is compressor, third is condenser, fifth is receiver, and then we are having expansion device. Now the application of refrigeration cycle is in refrigerators and air conditioners. And here, as we are well aware that refrigerators don't produce work output, but they consume the work, that is work input is required here. And if you recall our simple Rankine cycle, if it was like this, and here the pumping was there, then heat addition, then expansion, and then condensation. So it was working in clockwise direction. Now if you see the number of points and the direction of working fluid here, then these are working in anti-clockwise direction. And here we are not getting work output, we need to provide work input, because we are going against the nature here. Now we will see that what is the meaning of that. First of all, let's focus here that initially we will begin with point number 1. Here we are having low pressure, low temperature vapor refrigerant. So this is in vapor form, which is at low pressure and low temperature, and refrigerant is the working fluid in VCR system. So here in this compressor, this vapor is being compressed and it becomes now high pressure, high temperature vapor refrigerant. High pressure, high temperature vapor refrigerant. So This is the work of compressor to take it from low pressure and temperature to high pressure and temperature. Then we are having condensation process. The condensation means there will be a phase change. That is, the vapor will get converted into liquid. And obviously, the meaning of condensation is that there will be a drop in temperature. So here the temperature, high temperature will get converted into low temperature. So if we see one by one, then here in compressor pressure is increased, and then here temperature is also getting increased in compressor part. Then we are having condenser, in which pressure remains same and the temperature T gets reduced, and here phase change happens. That is, in condenser we are going from vapor to liquid. So at the exit of condenser we are having liquid refrigerant. Then we will discuss about receiver later on, and then we are having expansion device where expansion will happen. So here in expansion the pressure will reduce, because expansion is ultimately pressure reducing process. So here pressure is reducing, temperature is low here, so it will remain same, temperature will not change, and it will remain liquid. Then evaporator. In evaporator there will be vaporization of this liquid refrigerant. So here only phase change process will happen. That is, latent heat will be used here for evaporation. So pressure is same and temperature is also low, and we are having from a phase change from liquid to vapor. Okay. Now what is the ultimately what we are doing here? I have only explained you that what is going on in the cycle, but for what purpose it is going on, that let's see. Suppose we are having this evaporator here again. Okay, and let's say that we are required to cool water. So in refrigerator our objective is to reduce the temperature of water. So here let's say that this is a pipeline or coils where we are having for water. That is for our purpose, which we need to cool down. So here what is happening, that let's say this is at 25 degrees Celsius and this is the exit is 5 degrees Celsius. So our objective is achieved here, that we are cooling it from 25 degrees Celsius to 5 degrees Celsius. Now to reduce the temperature in this way, it is required that water should give up its heat. This water should give up its heat. So let me write down here, this is for water, and we are discussing evaporator part right now. So what happens, that here the liquid refrigerant is entering here at low pressure and low temperature, and it is converted into vapor. So there is a phase change from liquid to vapor, and this is for refrigerant. Let me write down, this is refrigerant. Okay, so to get converted into liquid to refrigerant, it requires latent heat of vaporization, which will be taken from this water. So there is evaporator is nothing but one form of heat exchanger. So here this refrigerant is gaining the heat and this water is losing its heat. So our cooling purpose is achieved. Now let's discuss about various key components of simple VCR cycle. What I would suggest you here to draw this diagram in your notebook, that will be helpful in learning the remaining concepts in the upcoming slides. So you can pause this video and draw this figure. Okay. So now let's discuss various components of this cycle. First is compressor. The function of compressor is to remove vapor from the evaporator and increase its pressure and temperature up to it that can be condensed in the condenser. So here, if you recall, to take the vapor from the evaporator and then compress it to condenser pressure. So let me tell you one more thing here, that the entire cycle is functioning on two pressures. Here we will have condenser pressure and here we are having evaporator pressure. Okay, so the entire cycle is functioning on two pressures. The pressure of refrigerant coming out of the compressor should be such that the saturation temperature of vapor is higher than the temperature of cooling medium in the condenser, so that high pressure vapor can reject heat to the cooling medium in the condenser. So here in this figure, the temperature of refrigerant here must be greater than the temperature of cooling medium in condenser, because that is the necessary condition for transfer of heat in condenser. So this compressor, the refrigerant temperature at the end of compression should be sufficiently high so that it can reject the heat in condenser. Second is condenser part. Here the function of condenser is to facilitate a heat transfer surface through which the heat transfer takes place from the hot refrigerant vapor to the condensing medium. So there will be a heat rejection by hot refrigerant vapor to condensing medium. That will be generally a cooling water is there. The condenser consists of coils of pipe in which high pressure and high temperature vapor is condensed. Now the refrigerant passing through the condenser gives up its latent heat to surrounding condensing medium, which is normally air or water. So if you recall, here in condenser, for refrigerant, from vapor it is getting converted into liquid. The pressure remains same, temperature gets decreased. Here in compressor, pressure is increased, temperature is increased, and it remains vapor. Our next, so in domestic refrigerator, the condensing medium is atmospheric air. Our next component is receiver, which is exactly after condenser. So the condensed liquid, after coming out of condenser, is stored in a vessel which is known as receiver, from where it is supplied to the evaporator through the expansion valve or refrigerant control valve. So this is just in between storage component. Next is expansion valve or device. Here the function of expansion valve is to meter proper amount of liquid refrigerant and reduces the pressure of liquid entering the evaporator. So here pressure is reduced, there is no much change in temperature, and it remains liquid. Here the liquid will then vaporize in evaporator at desired low pressure and absorb the heat from the space to be cooled. That we will see in the evaporator component. And this expansion valve is also known as throttle valve or refrigerant control valve. Next is evaporator. Here we have already discussed evaporator separately, where we took example of cooling of water. So it provides a heat transfer surface from which the low temperature liquid refrigerant can absorb heat from the space and it vaporized. It consists of coils of pipe in which liquid refrigerant at low pressure and temperature. So here the liquid refrigerant absorbs the heat from the medium which is to be cooled. So here, regarding this component, we have already discussed this portion where we discussed about evaporator, where here it is getting evaporated and it is consuming heat from this cooling medium. So now we will discuss about the TS diagram for this refrigeration cycle. So this will be our TS diagram. First process is isentropic compression by compressor to condenser pressure. So if you recall, I was telling you that the entire here first component we will take as compression. So here pressure is increased, temperature is increased and it remains vapor. And if you see this graph, then it is isentropic compression because entropy is remaining constant. So here low pressure and low temperature vapor coming from evaporator enters the compressor. So here it is low pressure, low temperature vapor where it is getting compressed isentropically to condenser pressure. So it is coming up to a point where the pressure is condenser pressure. At point 1 it will be evaporator pressure, and at point 2 it will be a condenser pressure. At the end of compression, the vapor has high pressure and high temperature. So at point 1 we were having P was low and T was also low, and here it has been increased as P has increased and T has also increased here. Now the second process is isobaric heat rejection in condenser. So we are now discussing about second process, that is in condenser. So here this is the isobaric heat rejection. Here. So isobaric means constant pressure. Here the high temperature, high pressure vapor coming from the compressor enters the condenser. So here at point 2 we are discussing now, it rejects heat to the cooling medium. The cooling is achieved using air or water. The condition of refrigerant, that is in saturated liquid form, here at point 3 at the exit, which is low pressure and high temperature. So here purely a phase change is happening in condensation process, and there is a reduction in temperature also because this is desuperheating which is happening. So here the pressure is high and temperature is low. Next is adiabatic expansion through expansion valve. So now it is assumed here that there is an adiabatic expansion through expansion device. When we were studying about vapor power or gas power cycles, such kind of expansion was considered to be isentropic, but here in this case in refrigeration it will be considered as adiabatic process. And here the saturated liquid coming from the condenser passes through the expansion device, that is from process 3 to 4, where the pressure decreases from condenser pressure to evaporator pressure. So at point 4 now we are having P as reduced and T has reduced. The condition of refrigerant after throttling is low pressure and low temperature liquid. And we are now only left with the last process. So we have gone through process 1 to 2, that is over here. And now we are left with process 4 to 1. So last process is isothermal heat absorption in evaporator. So the liquid refrigerant coming from the expansion device enters into evaporator where it absorbs the latent heat of evaporation from the space to be cooled. During this process, the refrigerant changes its state from liquid to vapor at constant low pressure. So here, if we see the TS diagram here, then this is only a phase change process which is happening from process 4 to 1, and it is consuming heat from the medium which is to be cooled. That is, in our example, it was cooling water. And the same TS diagram now is shown in pH chart. Here process 4 to 1 will be isothermal as well as isobaric. And at the exit, the refrigerant is normally dry saturated vapor or slightly superheated. So if we go back here, then here it is, in this figure it is dry saturated, and it is isobaric as well as isothermal, that is temperature and pressure are remaining constant throughout the evaporation process. And again this vapor enters the compressor and the cycle is being repeated. Now let's discuss about this pH diagram. Here first we will again begin at point number 1, and this is the compression process. So enthalpy is increasing and pressure is increasing. The entire condensation process is happening at constant pressure. So it is like this, enthalpy is being reduced because of heat rejection is happening in condenser. Then expansion process is adiabatic, and here in this expansion process the enthalpy will remain constant from 3 to 4, and then 4 to 1 is evaporation process where the enthalpy is getting increased because of vaporization. So this is the pH diagram for the vapor compression cycle. And if you see carefully, the entire cycle is functioning only on 2 pressures. Now let's do analysis of this simple cycle. Here in this example, we have considered that at the exit of evaporator, the condition of refrigerant is wet. That is, it contains some liquid particles here. Otherwise, in our previous case, we were having it up to this saturation vapor line. So here it is having slightly more liquid particle. It is having liquid particles present over here. So the corresponding pH diagram is also there. So now let's do the analysis part. In this case, the other important thing is the condition of refrigerant is dry saturated at the end of compression. So if you see point number 2 we are discussing here on that statement. So this is dry saturated at the exit of compression. Now here let's discuss about the value of entropy first. So S1 value will be given by this formula, that SF1 plus X1 SF G1, that is wet before compression. Next is S2 is equal to SG2. So here dry saturated vapor after compression. That is over here, that it is, why? Because this is purely a dry saturated vapor here at the end of compression. Next is point number 3. That is S3 minus S3 is equal to SF3, that is saturated liquid after condensation. And fourth one is S4, that is for point number 4 here. The value of entropy is very similar to this, because both are in liquid plus vapor region here, point 1 and point 4. So S4 is equal to SF4 plus X4 SFG4. Now we need to calculate the dryness fraction X1 by equating the entropies at point 1 and point 2, because the entropy here is same. So in this way we can calculate the value of X1. Next is the value of enthalpies. So enthalpies will be very similar to these formulas. So we are not discussing right now, because the symbol for entropy is simply replaced with symbol of enthalpy. The remaining things are as it is. Now if we need to calculate the dryness fraction X4, that is at point 4, we can equate the enthalpies at point 3 and point 4. That is, here the enthalpy remains constant. So here H3 is equal to H4. So we can equate this with this. That's why once we equate this, we can obtain the value of X4 here. So this is the analysis of simple cycle in which before compression it was wet, that the refrigerant was wet, and at the end of compression it is purely dry one. Now the compressor work is given by H2 minus H1, that is over here. This will be WC H2 minus H1. And refrigeration effect will be H1 minus H4. The refrigeration effect is given by this RE is equal to H1 minus H4. So we can calculate COP, which is ratio of refrigeration effect to compressor work. So this is the way we can calculate the COP. Now our next is this case in which we are having cycle with superheated vapor after compression. So here now before compression it is purely dry, and at the end of compression it is in superheated region. These are corresponding TS and TH diagrams. So the enthalpy at point 2, that is the enthalpy at this point, is given by this formula, that Hg2 prime, that is first we require this value Hg2 prime and plus the Cp delta T, that is the heat superheat enthalpy here. Similarly, entropy at point 2 can be obtained in this way, that entropy at Sg2 prime plus Cpln T2 upon T2 prime. Now we will be discussing factors affecting the performance of simple VCR cycle. So our first is effect of suction pressure on performance of VCR cycle. So suction pressure will be this, or evaporator pressure. So here first we will discuss about effect of decreasing the suction pressure from P1 to P1 prime. So here we have reduced the suction pressure in this way. So what has happened here? Decrease in refrigeration effect. How? Because now if you see, carefully, the distance of 4 to 1 and focus on distance between 4 prime to 1 prime, then the length of this line has reduced as we reduce the suction pressure. That is, P here the refrigeration effect has been reduced. That is, the distance between this 4 prime 1 prime is lesser than the distance of 4 and 1. So there is a reduction in refrigeration effect. Second is increase in compressor work. How? Because the compressor work is this 1 2 2, and here it is this. So if you see carefully, because of the diverging nature of the isentropic lines, the distance of 1 prime to 2 prime is more than the distance of 1 to 2. That is, the compressor work has increased. And the suction, there is an increase in the specific volume of suction vapor. So because of this, the net effect is to reduce the COP and capacity of refrigeration system for the same amount of refrigeration flow. So the conclusion is here that as we reduce the evaporator pressure, it will reduce the performance of cycle. Now the next condition is effect of delivery or condenser pressure. So that is the second case, this second figure here. So if we see, our original condenser pressure was this, and we have increased the condenser pressure here. So what happens because of this? So if you see, previously we were having the refrigeration effect up to this. This was our previous refrigeration effect with our usual cycle. And once we increased this condenser pressure, the refrigeration effect has been reduced. So because of this, there is a reduction in refrigeration effect, and the compressor work has been increased, because initially it was only up to 1 to 2, and now here, because of increase in condenser pressure, the refrigeration effect, the compressor work has been increased to 1 to 2 prime. So compressor work has been increased. So here the net effect is COP is reduced compared to the ideal cycle. Why? Because COP is equal to RE upon W compressor. So in both the cases, refrigeration effect is reduced and compressor work has increased. So this will reduce the coefficient of performance. Now this situation arises in summer because the discharge temperature is required in summer is more as compared to winter, and hence the pressure of condenser is also high. So in summer this is the discharge part. So here temperature is more in case of summer, so condenser pressure also increases. So in summer the COP of the same refrigerator will be lesser than that of in winter. So the same is written here, therefore the same machine will give less refrigeration effect in summer. Now the next is effect of evaporator temperature and condenser temperature. So here what we have done is we have reduced the evaporator temperature and increased the condenser temperature. So let us consider 1 prime, 2 prime, 3 prime, 4 prime, that is our new cycle, when the evaporator temperature decreases from TE to TE prime and the condenser temperature increases from TC to TC prime as shown in the figure. So here, in order to vaporize the refrigerant at lower temperature and condense the refrigerant at higher temperature, we require lower pressure in evaporator. So here, to reduce this evaporator temperature, the pressure of evaporator should be reduced and higher pressure in condenser is required. So condenser pressure is required is higher, which ultimately reduces the refrigeration effect, as we have seen in our previous two cases. So the effect of reducing the evaporator temperature and increasing the condenser pressure is equivalent to reduction in evaporator pressure and increase in condenser pressure. So it will subsequently reduce the refrigeration effect and COP of the cycle. Now our next effect is effect of suction vapor superheat. So here if you see, we have increased here the superheat portion. So there is increase in refrigeration effect. How? Because previously here the refrigeration effect was up to this, and now it has been increased up to this extent. So it is obvious here that there is increase in refrigeration effect. Now here the specific volume also increases. Here specific volume at 1 prime is more than 0.1, so the mass flow rate reduces because both are reciprocal to each other for same displacement volume of compressor. So there are two effects which are happening here. First is increase in refrigeration effect, and second is, so refrigeration effect is increased and the mass flow rate has been reduced. for the same displacement volume of compressor. And here one more thing which is happening is work input to compressor increases due to the diverging nature of isentropic lines. So here WC, that is compressor work, has been increased because of diverging nature of isentropic lines. So the net effect will be decrease of COP. So this will result in decrease of COP and decrease in capacity of refrigeration system for the same amount of refrigerant flow. However, still this is beneficial because it has been ensured that the entire compressor will be functioning in vapor region only. So there will not be any kind of damage to compressor, which happens in case of wet compression. Now our next effect is effect of liquid subcooling. So here, what is subcooling? In liquid, if the liquid refrigerant after the condensation, that is at the point 3, if we see after this condensation is cooled below the saturation temperature before throttling it. So this is we are discussing right now is going from point 3 to 3 prime. So this is called as subcooling or undercooling. Now how it is done? The process of undercooling is generally done by circulating more quantity of cooling water in the condenser. Okay. Now how it is helpful? Because if you see initially without subcooling, this is the refrigeration effect previously without subcooling, and after subcooling this is the refrigeration effect. So it is clearly seen here that this increases the refrigeration effect, and thus COP of the system also increases. So subcooling is always desirable, which will increase the performance of our refrigeration cycle. And our next topic is actual vapor compression refrigeration cycle, because previously we have studied only ideal cycle in which all processes are ideal, that is isentropic, isobaric and adiabatic. However, there are some losses which happens in actual cycle that we will discuss this point in our next lecture. So in today's lecture we started with refrigeration cycles, in which first was understanding various components of VCR. One by one we studied. Then next was the TS diagram and all 4 thermodynamic processes. Then we studied about pH diagram. The next was analysis of simple cycle, in which we understood the calculation of enthalpy and entropy, as well as calculation of dryness fraction at 2 different points. Next was factors affecting the performance of simple VCR cycle, in which effect of evaporator pressure, condenser pressure, effect of evaporator temperature and condenser temperature, effect of superheat and effect of liquid subcooling, and we will continue this chapter in our next lecture. This is the end of today's lecture. Thank you for watching this video.